Hey, shalom everybody. This is Dave, your host from Universal Truth of Mankind, the show for all of us. Well, here we are. This is my fourth show that I'm doing. And we've already talked about the soul a little bit, so I'm going to take a little different direction. And I'm going to talk about the concept of desire. And I'm calling the show Desire and the Drippy Faucet. So a little bit of humor here, but it will make sense. utom.org. If you go there, I modified the website slightly, where at the very top it asks you, do you want to see the latest show? And you click here, and it'll take you down to the bottom of the page. And then when you're done, if you want to read anything else on the page, you can you can go back to the top and go back, and you can start your, at the beginning of the page you want. So I tried to make it easier for everyone to watch this video. Also, you should notice that I have a new beginning, tacking onto and I also have an ending. So I have like an intro and an ending now. So I'm getting a little more sophisticated here. So I am making progress. So little by little, I'll start transforming these videos into more and more, I don't want to say professional quality, but more professional looking. I don't, prepare scripts when I do this. So let's get started and talk about the idea of desire. Desire is what drives us. Desire is what it's the engine that gets us going and moves us along. So you can even say it's the fuel, but it's the idea that there's a purpose to our life. But if we really study the subject, we can narrow down to basic 5 categories of what desire is, or what kind of desires we have as humans. And if you take a look at it, you can see we evolved from the very first category all the way to the 4th category, moving into the 5th category. And it should make hopefully it makes sense to you and help you to contemplate a little differently here. Remember, my purpose here is to introduce you to your own soul. Your soul is who you are. Remember, you're a soul with a body, not a body with a soul. So, who are you? What are you? What's your purpose in life? What's your role? What's important to you? Our sages tell us that before the soul was attached to a body, we made an agreement with the Creator to perform certain tasks. So we have a purpose, just like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob did, just like Moses, just like Joseph, just whomever else you can think of within the Torah. They all have a purpose and a role. We are no different. We're no less important, nor are we more important than those people in the Torah, or the people that we know, or the people that have existed or will exist. We're all part of the whole picture. And if any part is not operating properly, it impacts all of the pieces. If the piece is doing what it's supposed to do, remember, I'm talking about the soul here, then everything runs better. All right, so don't devalue yourself. The soul given to us by the Creator is what gives us our value. All right, please watch the first 3 videos and you see how this all comes together. So there's category 1 of the soul. Of desire. What is that? Well, what's our basic primal needs? Food, water, shelter, procreating. Some will say sex, but procreating. I mean, really, creating children or having children. Remember, the Torah tells us our children are our inheritance. Very important concept. There was a gentleman I knew many years ago, and he asked, how many children do you have? About 4. And I said, yeah, they could be a pain in the butt. He says, yeah, but you know something? He says, I don't have any children. And he says, I'm never going to have any children. My wife is not capable of bearing children. And he says, when I get old, I have no one. He says, however, when you get old, you got 4 kids. He says, I'll end up in a nursing home probably by myself. But you won't. Very interesting. So, that's the first category, our basic primal needs. Purely physical. Purely a physical need. Now we're going to move into the second category. The second category is wealth. Now, wealth has sort of a physical, mental aspect to it, but it's mostly physical. The idea of wealth is taking care of our primal needs, but having an abundance of it. For example, you say, hey, you know, it doesn't hurt to have a month's worth of supply of food in my refrigerator or my freezer. I think that's a great idea. You should always have at least a month to 6 months even of food in your freezer, so that and some extras so you can help other people out as well. Because you just never know what's going to happen. So it makes sense. It's a good preparation strategy. Well, that's what wealth really is. Having plenty of food, water, shelter, and yes, procreating / sex. So these things are important. So that's the wealth aspect. Yes, you can say it's money, but let me ask you something. Is it really money you want? No, it's what money can buy is what you really want. At least for the normal person. Now, another way of looking at this is we've seen on TV like people who are hoarders, who have years' supply of toilet paper, paper towels, detergents, things like that. You know, they have 6 years' supply. Or the house is packed with stuff all over. I'm not talking about garbage. I'm talking about items you can use, but because you have so much of it, it's really a waste. That's an over or extreme wealth. So not just money we're talking about. So wealth is where we engage the mind just slightly to have an abundance, whether it's through farming, through having cash, through having your own, maybe a secondary location, a bug out place to go to, or a bug out bag. Because if you don't provide your basic physical needs, you really have nothing. You're not going to live. So it's there to help you to live, but have an abundance of that. The third category is power. Some will say this also is fame. Yes, in one respect you could look at it that way as well. But I'm focusing on power. So what happens is, well, I'll get to that in a moment. So that's the third category, which we deal with power. That's where you can control others to give you wealth, to give you your basic needs. I don't think I need to really add much more to that, but let's just push to the fourth category. I'll get to the fifth one later, but the fourth category is knowledge. Now, right now, we're in an information war. I'm not going to beat around the bush. The news is lying to us about a lot of things. And you may say, oh, yeah, they are. They've been lying to us for years. I'll give you an example. During the Spanish-American War, yes, I'm going back over 120, 130 years here. In the Spanish-American War in Cuba, you've heard the story of San Juan Hill, where Teddy Roosevelt was charging up a hill with horses, attacking the Spanish. There's a famous painting for that too. Well, that's a misrepresentation of what actually happened. Firstly, in that theater of war, there were no horses. So there was no cavalry. Secondly, the hill's name was not San Juan. It was Kettle Hill. Why was it renamed? Well, the reporter wanted to make it sound more sensational. Thirdly, they didn't charge up the hill. There were machine guns bearing down on them. They would have been mowed down. They crawled through the underbrush. It wasn't clear, so horses could not run up it. There was underbrush. So they had to crawl through the underbrush up to the hill to attack the Spanish. Another point. Who were the men? Were they a bunch of white men? No, they were black. They were black soldiers, black American soldiers with Teddy Roosevelt. Because back then it was customary for black troops to have a white officer. I'm not saying whether that's good or bad, but that was the situation back then. So the reporter spun all this up to make this story sensational and to take advantage of their victory, meaning the soldiers' victories. So they over-embellished. That's lying, people. The news has been lying to us since day one, all right? What's going on in our world right now, when I was working with as a contractor for the military, we had a common saying, liars figure and figures lie. Okay? Or figures, liars figure and figures lie. I've been part of a lot of statistics that are just not representing the facts correctly. Okay, so we have those four categories. Those four categories of desire. So why these desires? Well, the Creator wants to build us. We have a soul connected to us. So the soul, the Creator keeps dropping droplets of. Let's just get rid of this. Dropping the dropper onto us to want more. For example, you can have the first category. You can have the food, water, shelter, and procreation. But even after you had those, you're not satisfied. So then you go for wealth. Drop wealth. Then you go for wealth so that you have an abundance of this stuff, so you don't have just a day's worth or an afternoon, morning, afternoon, dinner type of a thing, but you have a week's worth, a month's worth, a year's worth. Or you plow your own food, you raise your own food. That's wealth. But even that's not enough. Because why? Well, someone could come and take it. So you want power. Power to do what? To protect your interests. And the interest, theoretically, of those that are with you. But the reality is you can always favor yourself over the next guy. So you're not satisfied with that. So next thing after the wealth and the power, you want knowledge. You want to be in the know. And we see this within religious areas, especially like the Messianics, where a lot of them are now starting to say, oh, you got to pronounce God's name a certain way. That's all knowledge. But that's not true knowledge. That's a man's knowledge. But, let's not be so critical on that. But, knowledge of what? How to preserve your food. Knowledge on how to find a mate. So we want to be in the know, not just on those four basic needs, but also in a more general way. How to become wealthy, how to make money, how to have a skill. Knowledge is all important to make this happen in your life. So God keeps putting a drip, drip, drip. You want more, 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 you want more. So now we finally get to the fifth category. What's the fifth category? The desire for the Creator. See, he's leading us along with a popcorn trail. And finally we get to the final, most important desire we could possibly have, and that's a desire for the Creator. The Creator should be our pinnacle of success. This is not to know the Creator in a sense like now I'm special, I know Him, but the desire of wanting the Creator because you realize the true sensation of satisfaction that you're really looking for is that relationship with the Creator. That Creator becomes your all-important focus and push. That's what we have to get to, and that's what we're starting to see happen in this world. Because people are realizing knowledge is not what it's all up to be. There's more. What's that more? The more is the Creator. Now, what that desire that you have in your heart for the Creator, and that drives you to really earnestly desire the Creator. We're not talking half-hearted. We're talking about you're willing to cut off your own hand type of a desire. So how do we do this? I mean, what is this called? Yetzel, which means direct to God. You've heard it before. Israel. Israel is not a religion. Israel is not being part of a certain people group or a certain nationality. It's not being part, I think I say that, part of any religion. It's not being part of any particular order of man, a president, a senator, nothing to do with all that. It's someone who desires, anybody who desires the Creator is considered part of Israel. That's often overlooked in our Torah studies, but it's a fact. I hope this helps you to have a more positive outlook on yourself and a much more direct walk to the Creator. Because the true satisfying, satiating desire, fulfillment we possibly have is the desire and the fulfillment of that desire with the Creator. If you liked, please share this video. Please like it. Please comment. Please turn on the notifications. And I wish everyone good blessings. Shalom, shalom.